Hey everyone, Jessie Ledoux, Pageant Planet's Queen of Coaching here. We are so excited for today's call, but before we begin, we have a very special product of the week that we want to share with you. Steven is on vacation, so I put my heads together with the other queens in the business, and we thought up the promo for the Andrea shoe. Now, the Andrea shoe is a nude patent platform by Touch Ups. It is so figure flattering because it doesn't have any lines that go up the middle like other shoe designs you've seen. And it has just enough shine to catch the eye, but not so much that it detracts from it. It's a 4-inch heel with a 1-inch platform, so it is so comfortable and has a beautiful little buckle on the side that just pops for an extra detail. Now, these shoes range around $62 on our shop. However, this week we are blowing it up with a 20% off discount for anyone that purchases the Andrea shoe this week. The coupon code, super simple, it's just Andrea, and I will include it in the show notes. Again, these shoes are $62 normally, so you're gonna get them for about $50 with free shipping and returns, which is insane to think about. So again, that's the Andrea Nude Patent by Touch Ups, 4-inch heel, 1-inch platform, the perfect nude to take you from day to night for all different phases of competition and for appearances.
Welcome to Pageant Planet's podcast, where we share stories and strategies to help expand and connect the global pageant community. Visit pageantplanet.com to find pageants, hire coaches, shop for dresses, and more. Now, here's your host, Stephen Roddy.
Hey everyone, Jessie Ledoux here, Pageant Planet's Queen of Coaching. Steven is off today, so as you know, when the boss is away, I usually find a girl that can come to slay in his place, and I have found an amazing guest to join me for this week. She is Miss Gabby, Massachusetts 2018, top 5 at Miss America. What? So,
Hi.
yes, welcome Gabby. And Gabby, why don't you go ahead? I know you talk about like your heritage is so important to you, so I know I chickened out and I just called you Gabby, but tell us your official name, your name, how you like it to be said.
Oh, yeah. So my name is Gabriela Taveras. I'm an Afro-Latina. I'm Dominican. I love it. It's just like all the good food, all the good feelings, all the good everything. But yeah, I'm so excited to be here. Just to tell you a little bit about myself. So I'm from Lawrence, Massachusetts, which has a pretty negative reputation just overall because we are a very poor city and we are a huge immigrant city. So for me, growing up in that environment, I overcame many adversities. If anyone watched Miss America, I survived like sexual assault, growing up in a single parent household, the daughter of an incarcerated felon. Really, you name it, I've experienced it, like gang violence, gun violence, all of it. And I really wanted to, I guess, break the mold of what it meant to be a title holder and to compete in competitions like these. So I knew that there was never a Black Miss Massachusetts. Initially, I was competing in the USA organization, and then I made the jump to MAO because I said, in 79 years of existence, it's time we finally had one. So I came, I competed as many times as I could, and I finally won. And it worked out for me because I was able to share my story, myself, with everyone at Miss America. And that was my goal. Was I knew that what I've experienced throughout my life is not necessarily unique. I'm just unique in the sense where I'm very willing to share it. And I wanted other people to see myself, my life experiences and things I'd have to overcome and understand that their story might be different, but it's still valuable and it's necessary to be heard and that we're all in this together. So I hope I shared that at Miss America, and I hope that I can continue to share that throughout my reign.
You definitely did, and I want to point out to the listeners who may not follow Gabby yet, what stood out to me about you, Gabby, is part one, you wore yellow for your evening gown for Miss America, which is my soul color, so I appreciate that. Anyone that rocks yellow, like I feel like they have a spirit inside themselves that like is second to none, so represent. And part two, Gabby's intro on Instagram is make a joke and do a little dance, which I feel like a lot of us can relate to.
Oh my gosh. So actually, I was hosting a lot of events in college when I was like a local title holder. I think I was Miss Boston at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And the VP of my school came up to me and said, you know, Gabby, if there's a phrase that I could just create for you on the spot, it would be make a joke and do a little dance. And it stuck with me all these years later because I really think that that's just like who I am. Like, I don't take life too seriously. I like to have a good time. But, you know, I also just like to make sure everyone else is in on that fun too.
Yeah, so we are going to talk all about some tips and hacks today. Correct me if I'm wrong, Gabby, but I feel like I've heard this like urban legend that you cannot have a makeup artist for Miss America. Is that correct?
So it's really funny. You can have a makeup artist when you're there for preliminaries. So a lot of the contestants choose to have makeup artists because it's just easier than having to do it yourself and stress prelim night.
Mm-hmm.
But finals night, you can't have a makeup artist, which completely seems backward to me because wouldn't you want us to look fantastic on finals night? I mean, I don't know. I don't know how you feel about that.
Oh, I totally agree. But I did hear about like the reasoning behind it where there's so much chaos, there's so many quick turns backstage, so you don't want to have people crowding that space. But I totally agree. Like, wouldn't you want the professionals to like do their job? However, you made a good point earlier, and I'll let you spill the beans later in the call, but a lot of the times professional makeup artists can make contestants look unrealistic of what they will look like all year long. So I do think that there is a silver lining to this rule because judges will see and evaluate contestants based upon what we can expect because Miss America doesn't travel with a makeup artist.
That's true. But also, I think Miss America overall is just making that shift away from what you look like.
Mm,
So, with like
fair, fair.
the elimination of swimsuit, for example. So, it's kind of one of those things that's catch 2020. On one hand, you want to see what they really will look like. But on the other hand, does it matter anymore what they look like? I don't know. I
That's
don't
a
know.
that's a very good point, and I hadn't considered that before. But this isn't a new rule. I don't think. I think like as if I'm a people call me the pageant almanac, Gabby. I am like been a freak about the pageant industry for 20
I love
years.
it.
So I'm pretty sure that has been a rule from like the jump, but that is
Oh,
like
yeah.
perfect justification for it.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely. Now it's just kind of like, well, does it matter anymore with the shift of everything? But it totally has been around forever.
So, in the spirit of helping ourselves succeed, Gabby, you have an amazing story of like rising above. So, we are going to take matters into our own hands, and today we're going to talk about 7 makeup hacks you need to know. And as always, we're using a combination of Instagram follower submissions. I pulled some notes from our ultimate makeup course that just launched, and I will include the link in the show notes. And you can find it by visiting pageantplanet.com and articles. It is like so chock full of goodies. You have to check it out. And then lastly, Gabby and I are going to share some additional personal nuggets of information. So we're going to start with a lipstick item. And Gabby, do you have like favorite lipstick brands and how do you keep them long wearing?
Yeah, so I know that right now everyone's on this like matte lipstick kick, and while I love the matte lipstick for the Instagram feed, I'm not crazy about it when it comes to stage
Mm.
because you don't really see it and it doesn't pop as much as it could. So my favorite lipstick brand is actually Victoria Duke Beauty. Have you ever heard of them
I've
before?
never heard of it, so enlighten me.
Yeah, so Victoria Duke Beauty, actually, I met her. She does like Lo wears her lip gloss and lipstick. Like all the celebrities have, a lot of Miss Universes have. And I met her a few years ago, and she's just one of the most empowering women I've ever seen. She's completely built this like makeup school empire.
Hmm.
And I literally do not wear anything besides her lipsticks and lip glosses when I compete.
What is so
They're
special about them?
Well, first of all, she actually has like this, like I guess, scents and flavors that she can put into them, so that's always nice because when you're
Mm.
on a cleanse, you really want some cake. Your lip gloss tastes like cake. It's an ideal situation, but it's very long lasting. It doesn't smudge very easily either, and she has actually a lip liner too that you can start everything off with to make sure nothing smudges. And also, it's just she always makes sure whenever she meets you that she's pairing the perfect lip makeup combination for yourself.
Mm.
And I think that that's really important because a nude for you is not going to be a nude for me, right?
Yep.
And for me, like I like to use very like dark but still kind of light undertones because of my skin complexion. When I'm on stage, it just pops a lot better on my skin complexion. So that's why I love it because she makes sure that when she gives you a lip gloss, she's like, these two lip glosses combined will make you pop. And I've never gotten complaints, so shout out to Victoria. You're the greatest.
So the hack we're going to talk about today is lipstick smear. So the problem is there are 2 times where this can happen. The first is when you're initially applying your lipstick and you get a little sloppy with it, like your left side has like that perfect angle and then the right side like someone like nudges your elbow at the dressing stand
Yeah.
next to you and you get a little bumpy. And so that happens. And then the other time is when like it just happens to smudge when you're in a quick change or moving around or otherwise. So if you're using a very pigmented color, and it smudges against that flawless foundation, it can be like a big buzzkill for your look. And I don't
Mm-hmm.
know about you, Gabby, but like I feel like everyone has like a great aunt that struggles with this. Like
Oh my
after
gosh,
a holiday
yes.
meal, they like wipe their face with their napkin and then it's a lipstick problem.
It's a nightmare. I always like feel bad because even if you see like your friends do it, you're just like, oh honey, I'm so sorry.
So here's the fix that we're going to share with our listeners today. The first is if it's just like a tiny little smudge out of line, I want you to dab the smudge with a tissue first. And I want you to dab, don't rub, because all you want to do is remove the pigmentation. So dab it really quick, see what comes off, because you want as much to come off in that tissue as possible. Step 2 is to use a nude color lip pencil. These are very popular right now because like people are highlighting that Cupid's bow and it gives you like the best precision. So you can use that nude lip pencil to re-outline your lip and cover over any red or pink that might have spread. And if it's really, really bad, you're going to want to grab like a skinny eyeliner brush, dip it into your concealer, and that will totally cover the pigmentation. So that is how to fix lip smear.
Oh, fabulous. I love it. That's what I have to do, honestly. I never know like where my lip line is. I know it sounds so weird to say. I have like zero concept of my lips. So I always mess it up and yes, that all of this, yes. You're amazing. Thanks for sharing.
So the next one we're going to roll into is the magic of powder as it relates to pageant shine. And this came from our Instagram follower, olive_factory_. And she said having lipstick for touch-ups, which we just covered. And this is where it comes in handy. And a clean sponge with powder is all you really need for touch-ups. So the problem and how it happens, it's those like with combination or oily skin, and like that's when like the real need for powder comes in, because your shiny T-zone, like your forehead and your chin, does not equate to like the beautiful glow of a highlighter, which is super on trend right now. So instead, like it picks up sheen in all the wrong places.
Oh, yes. Oh, and just like a quick fun story. I will never forget the first time I competed in a USA pageant because I swore I knew how to do my makeup. And I could show you such incriminating, like blackmail, perfect blackmail quality content of me just like not even knowing what baking was. So like now I bake my face to the gods, right? So
Of
like
course.
I will not walk out the door if I have not baked for 15 minutes. But I looked like someone took oil and just threw it on my face because I have like combination skin. Now it's gotten a lot better because I've learned proper skincare, which is like the most important thing for good makeup application.
Correct.
But it was just like absolutely astronaut. It was amazing to me to see how oily I was. It's like Laura Mercier is my personal favorite powder. I don't know. What do you use?
So I love Kat Von D and I love Laura Mercier. Laura Mercier just came out with like this version of their like legendary loose powder. It has a little bit of a highlight in it. I love that for the summer, but for stage, their traditional translucent Laura Mercier is like where it's at.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because it also highlights all the parts of your face that are important. If you put it in your T-zone, under your eyes, and then just along your jawline, it just, first of all, it makes your contour stronger. And second, it's like when the light hits you, those are the parts of your face that are going to light up the most. And those are the parts of the face you really want to look at. We want to look at who you are.
And with that too, I'm glad you said stage lights, because that's a lot of where the sheen comes from, because it's not only the fact that it's hitting those hot spots on your face, it's also the stage lights also generate a ton of heat. And you're already perspiring more than normal because anxiety, stress, performance, nerves.
Panicking. Just panics.
So that's like when those stage lights, not only like it's already amplifying those zones, but the heat itself is going to make you sweat, like Jock Jam's 1999.
Pretty much.
How to fix it. So 2 options for how to fix this problem. The first is to use a mattifying primer on your oil-prone areas. This works best for people that have very combination oily skin, just because they can be drying and you do still want a hint of dewy youthfulness. So I'll use it like in the center of my forehead where I know I get the oiliest, and right on my chin, because that's where I'm most prone to do that. So that's the first thing. And then like Gabby and our follower just mentioned, we want to always have powder at the ready backstage for super fast touch-ups. Gabby and I already mentioned we like loose powder for like the initial makeup application, but once I'm in wardrobe, I will typically stick with a pressed powder to avoid potential spilling or getting loose powder on my garments. And like this is one of those things where like even in my real life, I'll do my makeup and I'll leave and I'll have loose powder like on my black sweater. And I'm like, oh, crud. And then I have to fix it. So that's one of those things. Once I'm already dressed, pressed powder is your safest bet.
Yes, absolutely. I don't know about you. I literally have like a robe I always wear when I compete. It's called my like Whitney robe. So everyone at Miss America would laugh at me because you would always see me with this huge white robe with like this fuzzy, like it's all fake fur by the way, but like this fuzzy hood. And they were just like, oh, Gabby must be doing her makeup. Well, Gabby must be, because like it's so real with the press powder. Everything just falls and it ruins your outfit, and that's not a good time.
I'm impressed that you use a white robe because I feel like white is like destined for makeup stains. So kudos to you for keeping that like together.
Oh, I love that robe. That robe has taken me to Miss America, and it will take me beyond. I love it.
So if you don't use loose powder already, you'll want to invest in a kabuki brush. That gives the best application for loose powder. It kind of just makes it look more airbrushed. It goes on more lightly. If you're using pressed powder, I like to use a sponge, as our listener mentioned, and you will want to clean this often because a sponge, like any other sponge in your home, whether it's a beauty blender or your kitchen sponge, it kind of holds on to bacteria, so you will want to clean it regularly because bacteria, as we know, is the root of all breakouts and face imperfections.
Absolutely. And have you seen how EcoTools actually created these new like angled sponges, and now they have cases for them?
No, I've never seen this. Tell me about it.
Yeah. So EcoTools actually created these new angled sponges, which I personally love. I could be better about cleaning my sponges, but they do have them like little cases that they made for them too. So it's awesome because if you just really use it to put the powder and put it away, like if you don't have time to clean it all the time, then it's kind of a way to preserve it and prevent it from getting that additional bacteria from your makeup case.
Ooh, and I've also seen another hack on Pinterest for this. It's if you have like one of those plastic Easter eggs, you can put your beauty blender, which is what like is my go-to. Once it like shrinks down to its original size because it will not fit like when it's all sponged up, you can put it in there and travel with it, and that does pretty much the same thing.
Oh, wow, that's so cute.
Yes, love that. Okay, so we just talked about powder in the case of shine. We've already talked about lipstick, and now, okay, this is definitely me. We're going to talk about mascara spread, and I made up this term, so you probably have never heard it before. But it's like a Murphy's Law type problem, and when I put on mascara, somehow, as soon as like I've just freshly applied it, it looks amazing. I get the immediate urge to sneeze, and I am a heavy sneezer. So like I will like scrunch my whole face together, and then when I open my eyes, I will have dots all over my eyelid from my mascara. So I call this mascara spread. Has this ever happened to you? Maybe not the sneeze, but have you had the mascara dot situation?
Oh my gosh, it's literally all I do. It's not the sneeze, but I hate putting mascara on. It's the bane of my existence, to be frank. And the other day this happened to me, and I was just like, I've had enough. You know what? We're gonna go with it. The lashes will cover it all.
Oh my gosh. So now I'm like, if I have time, I'll like hold a tissue behind it while I apply my mascara. It's just like ridiculous. And so like, here's how we can fix it. So with waterproof mascara especially, this is not something that you can just like use a makeup brush to blend. It actually needs to be removed. So I don't know a single person who does their eyeshadow after the mascara. Have you ever known anyone that did that? I feel like that's like impossible.
I mean, I've definitely done it before if I got really lazy for like a morning appearance versus a nighttime appearance where I just didn't want to have to do my whole eye. So yeah, it's super inconvenient though. Do not recommend at all.
Yeah, 0 of 10 recommend. So with that said, like you're probably, if you get mascara spread, it probably is going to be affecting your existing eyeshadow. So what I would recommend, dip a Q-tip in a tiny bit of makeup remover, just the tip of the Q-tip. Don't oversaturate it because all you want to do is just like we did with the lipstick, you're just going to dab those dots to remove the topmost level of pigmentation from your mascara. Hopefully it just lifts it. And then you want to like go back in and then you can reblend because you don't want to rub it. You don't want to remove all of the hard work you put into your eye makeup as it is. So just that dabbing and then reapplying will solve this problem.
Absolutely. No, that's perfect advice.
So now moving on to number 4, you want to always have a spare toothbrush. And I use this for like several reasons, one of which is not my not my face related. It's like my hair related. I have a lot of like
Yes.
little frizzies that happen. I don't want to use oil on my roots because your roots are already oily. I don't want to overspray. So I will like spray a tiny bit of like hairspray on it and then just like do my hair that way. Do you do that?
Yes. Oh my gosh. So it was funny because at Miss America, I felt like I was always asking Miss Colorado, Ellery Jones, like, "Hey, Ellery, can I use your scarf for my edges?" Like edges were a really big topic at Miss America. So what I used to, but obviously use it to like lay your flyaways, but edge control is your golden ticket to
Mm.
everything. I love the olive oil ones. Miel Organics has a really good edge control as well. So if you use like edge control and then a toothbrush and then you lay it with a scarf, like a silk scarf,
Mm.
it is literally the greatest thing you'll ever do because you just go about your day, do what you have to do, you take the scarf off, and your hair is not moving for the rest of the night.
Do you use a silk pillowcase too?
Okay, so I did. I was in the moving process, so RIP silk pillowcase, really miss
Oh,
you.
Christmas
But,
gift.
oh, what was that?
Put it on your Christmas list, girl.
Oh my gosh, no, I'm going to because my hair is starting to get frizzy again. And ever since I won Miss Massachusetts, I literally have not worn my hair straight. So I need to take care of the curly locks, you know? We have looks to keep.
So if you don't have a silk pillowcase, this is something that should definitely be on your holiday list because what it does is I'm a stomach sleeper. I don't know about those listening, but like when you sleep on a pillow with a cotton based pillowcase, it can create like wrinkles, indentations, it can pull your skin, not to
Mm-hmm.
mention like it will just like eat your hair alive, make it frizzy, all sorts of static. A silk pillowcase, everything just slides a lot smoother, it's a lot lighter, etc. So it's great for your hair and your face, like definitely a beauty must. But anyway, moving on to the real reason for the spare toothbrush. So this came from heaven.ballet on Instagram. Gabby, you want to read the submission from heaven.ballet?
Yeah, so Heaven says that you use an old toothbrush and hairspray to set fiery baby hairs and for your eyebrows too. So you heard it here, people. If you want those fleeky brows, use a toothbrush.
Yes, and eyebrows are like totally on trend. Thick eyebrows, like grown in, amazing arches, but they do their own thing sometimes. And especially with quick changes, full brows, like they
Oh my
can
gosh.
move around a lot. And like Gabby, like are you on board with this thick brow trend?
I want to be a thick brow girl so bad. You have no idea. I naturally have very thin eyebrows, so like when I grow them out, people are like, they look great, and I'm like, no, they're fully grown out. I'm obsessed with like I guess the Beyonce brows. You know, the one where like it just looks like they just brushed it up, and that's all that they did to it.
Yes,
That
yes.
is my dream. I mean, my best friend has incredibly thick eyebrows, and I'm so envious of her. But you know what? That's why you got to fill them in. So thank God for that. Because if we couldn't fill in eyebrows, I would just look like I don't like an eyebrowless person, which is fine. But it's not my look. It's not
No,
my look.
no, definitely not. And I mean, I've seen your brows. You do a very nice job with them, I have to admit.
Thank you. They do take quite a long time to perfect.
Well, mine are not naturally thin, but I fell victim to the overpluck of 1999. Yeah,
Oh.
and just like one side has grown in really nicely, and the other is just, I've plucked it to death. It's very sad. Very,
Have
very
you
sad.
ever thought of what is it micro like the micro?
Microblading, it's amazing. I see a lot of people that do it. I am not there yet. I can still do mine fairly well. Like it's not to the point where I wake up and I panic. And this is another silk pillowcase thing. Is I find like if you are a stomach sleeper, like your eyebrows can shed because all of your hair sheds
Oh
naturally
yeah.
anyway. So you are more at risk. But no, I haven't like so. If those listening have not heard of microblading, it's like tiny long-term temporary tattooing that's happened. Like it's like a little blade, it goes in and it like literally draws on hair strokes, so it looks more natural than if you're like filling it in with a pencil or a powder, etc. So it's definitely an option for those that do have naturally thin brows that are looking for an easier like getting ready routine.
Yes, I'm considering doing that just because I'm really tired of spending like 10 minutes on my eyebrows. But I'm also a huge wimp and don't like the idea of anything sharp touching me. So stay tuned, everyone. Stay tuned.
Yes, please let us know. And so, like, I usually use a brow gel when I'm getting ready in the first place. So, I'll color my brows in, I'll use the gel, and it sets. However, if you find yourself traveling or without, like, the ability to, like, fill in your brows as normally, like that spray, that hairspray on the old toothbrush, combing them back into place will provide like a light hold without too much product. So it is something you'll definitely want to keep in your back pocket as a possibility.
Absolutely. I think Olivia Copel does that.
I mean, her brows are always perfect, so it's very possible.
She's literally always perfect. I'm
I
like, could you have a bad
know.
day, please?
I know. Oh, and then like, so I don't know about you. I listen to Instagram stories on silent most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And like I finally listened to hers, like was listening to some all stories with volume, and just she's so stinking cute and charming, and she's an amazing singer too, which I had no idea.
What?
So, yes, I caught her. She was getting ready in Vegas recently on her Instagram story, and she was singing like Christina Aguilera song, and I'm like, this is not fair. It's cruel. Cruel and
I
unusual
love how
punishment.
you're like you just know everything about it. You're like, yeah, no, like she was in Vegas this one time and she was like singing, and I was like, what?
You know, some people work really hard at their Instagram and do a great job. She is one of them. So like I feel like we are BFFs. One-sided creepy BFFs.
I mean, I feel like a lot of people feel that connection to her. I personally used to follow her on Instagram, but then I started feeling bad about myself, so I like had to stop following her because I'm like, I know that we are the same height. I know that you are a tiny lady, Olivia Colpo, and you look like you are 7 feet tall, and it is so upsetting for someone such as myself who has a long torso and short legs, not by any fault of my own. So I'm praying for my children that they will get the chance I never got and have long legs and a short torso like Olivia Copel.
Well, I am also on the long torso, short leg train, and we're doing okay in life.
Oh no, we're totally crushing it. But also, like, for the sake of just watching everything that she does, I'm like, I've had enough. I love you. I'll admire you from afar because I just can't. I can't do this.
Well, then don't listen to her sing because you'll be like, you'll sink even further. But anyway, we should be like proud of all of what we have going on. Like no woman can dull our shine just because she also has whatever the phrase is. I don't know.
No,
What
we're
is the
totally crushing
phrase?
it.
Don't let everyone blowing out your candle, someone else's candle does not lessen your glow. What is it? Make yours shine brighter. That's it. Blowing out someone else's candle doesn't make yours shine brighter.
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And that's like what you need to keep too when you compete in pageants. Like you have to keep that mindset because at the end of the day, it's the opinion of 5 people on any random day and like 5 different judges, 5 different outcome. It just kind of depends on if it's your time or not.
Exactly.
So like if you focus on everybody else, like I remember at Miss Massachusetts, I couldn't speak because I have nodules, which many people didn't know. When I went to Miss America, I was like, I was on so much medication and I was like seeing doctors all the time while I was at Miss America because I was combating like a car accident I had just like had to endure, which completely just destroyed my body. That ruined my singing voice, just a multitude of things. And I remember I was like, listen, Gabby, if it's yours, like nothing you do right or wrong will affect that. You need to just go out there and have a great time. Because at the end of the day, like you are who you are and God put you here for a reason and that needs to be good enough for you.
Mm-hmm. And I don't mean to trivialize what you just said, but I need to make a Pitch Perfect reference.
Oh my God, yes. Go for it.
I have notes. And like that's all I can think of when you said nodules. Is that like is that the same thing? That
everyone says that to me. Like it's so funny because even what was it, Miss America now, but at the time she was Miss New York. I was like talking to some of the Miss America candidates and was like, yeah, like I have nodules, whatever. And she looked at me and she was like, that's like a singer's worst nightmare. And I was like, I know. I'm very aware. Thank you. I'm living the worst thing. And like, have you seen the Lady Gaga documentary?
Yes, 5'2".
Yes.
Yeah, so good.
So you know how she talks about how she has like really bad spasms and how it affects her singing and like her overall physical health?
Yes.
So I also have spasms. I don't know if it's the same as hers because hers are more in like her hip and her lower spine, but mine were from like my thoracic cavity up, so from like my ribs up. And because of that, it like amplifies your nodules because you're constantly under distress. So she was like talking about, well, I'm so lucky because I have money I can just drop whenever. And, if I need help with my spasms, like I can get help. She's like, I can't imagine what people who have this all the time who don't have the resources I have, like how they handle this. And I was like, well, Lady Gaga, let me tell you, sister, you do everything you can and it still doesn't really work, but you make it work because life is good and too beautiful to be upset. So you just like take it in strides and it's a lot of fun. It's really scary, but it's a lot of fun.
Well, I guess I never even thought of it, but it is key. I mean, with talent for Miss America, anything can happen. Like you just can't rely on the fact that everything, like if you have talent one day, it's going to be the same the next day. Like conditions and like bodily functions are always changing. So something to keep in mind for those that are preparing for the talent competition is just take care of your body, be aware of your body, and listen to it. Is that a good summarization of that?
Absolutely, and just make sure that you also like cut yourself some slack too, because if it doesn't go the way you want it to go, that's perfectly fine. Like coming up from Miss America, I mean, obviously we all know the internet is a beautiful place, apparently. So coming back, a lot of people had opinions on my abilities to sing and she was this, she was that. But for me, I really left Miss America, and I was like, listen, at the end of the day, I was where I needed to be, which was fortunately enough in the top 5. But I was like, I know that I had such a bigger message to share with the world than a 90-second song. And I wasn't going to beat myself over it, because I did what I wanted to do, which is first and foremost to have a good time. And second, to just share my message of just love, empathy, and understanding and compassion for other people. And the fact that you don't know what anyone's story is. So you can't just draw a conclusion based off of what you think.
Well, agree. And you should always be cognizant of what you're saying online for reasons far beyond this. But anyway,
absolutely.
Little tangent, but totally worthwhile. I love giving our listeners a glimpse into like Miss America life. I think that is amazing. And so many of them dream of that. So this is very helpful regardless. But if we get back to our faces, so number 5. So we talked about mascara, lipstick, all that good stuff. So number 5 is do your eyes first. And this is actually most makeup artists like on the or most makeups on the market are powder based, and that means that they are individual particles of powder packed into a compact usually, and when you put them on your brush, they spread and something known as fallout occurs. And this happens with even the most high quality eyeshadows. I love Urban Decay palettes and colors, but like they have some of the worst fallout. And Gabby, can you explain what fallout is?
Yeah, so essentially when you're putting makeup on your face, it's kind of like the sloppy second is what I like to call it.
Oh no!
So it's like the fallout's the sloppy second. So it's like you're doing all this great work, right? You're really just beating those eyes, blending away. And then as a result of all of this hard work that you're doing at the top, the sloppy seconds fall to the bottom. So it all just starts to fall right beneath your eyelid, or not your eyelid, but right on your cheekbone. And it's just like less than ideal, because if you've done a full face of foundation, now you have all of this extra color that's being added to that foundation. And to cover it up, it takes a lot more effort, because you have to put more foundation on top of it and concealer, and then you just start to look cakey. So it's just a very less than ideal situation.
Yes, for sure. And I find that even if, so I am a definite, like, I am the worst. I'm a rule breaker. I do my foundation first. But when I'm being careless and I do have fallout, I find that no matter what I do to try to get rid of it or cover it, I always have a raccoon problem. Like there's nothing that can be done after the fact that saves it. So like so if you want to break the rules like me, or you do break the rules like me, this is something that like if you just can't get over the hump to do your eyes first, which I will say most professional makeup artists are doing. So like if you want to be like the pros, you should not listen to me. But in the case that you break the rules, I use like a tissue underneath my eye that catches those loose particles. And it's definitely more of a hassle than it is to just do it the right way. But for some reason, I can't break the habit. I'm too old to change my ways now. But for those listening, you can.
Well, if you also use like a cream eyeshadow, for example, like my entire face is Victoria Duke Beauty, I kid you not. So like she has really great cream eyeshadow, which I'd never been exposed to previously, because like you mentioned, a lot of eyeshadow now is more powder based. But I love using cream eyeshadows, because you know that it's not really going anywhere, especially if you use a really good primer like the Urban Decay eyeshadow primer.
Yep.
So I guess it kind of is just like a preference. I love doing my eyeshadow first, though, I will say, especially when I do powder, just because at the end, when I put the concealer under my eyes, I can just make that shape a lot sharper around my eyes. Like I know you see on YouTubers, like they put tape or something like that. Like I love that look personally, because my eyes can work with that kind of look. But I don't know. I guess it kind of depends on the shape of your eyes.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that. I love the way that looks as well. And I think, like, especially when you're doing a more dramatic look, it's like the perfect final effect to like just do that like swoop to clean it all up, make it look perfect. So there's definitely pros and cons to both. For me, I just can never seem to blend it right. And plus, I feel like the rest of my face depends upon what my eyes look like. So I like to do that
Mm-hmm.
last and then kind of compensate and overcompensate. So, we'll see there. But that's a great piece of advice. Again, the pros consistently do eyes first. So take that for what it is worth. But I want to go back to like your like skincare because Gabby, you mentioned like great skin is like the start to a great face overall.
Mm-hmm.
So problem number 6 that we're going to give you a hack for is flaky skin. And dry skin is the worst. And for those of us on the Western Hemisphere, like Gabby and I, we are in the winter season, which means drier air due to forced heat being pumped out and results in flaky texture and
Mm-hmm.
like lack of like even makeup application. Like it's not good. It's not good at all. And it's hard to repair as like there's an exfoliation process that has to occur. Either like you physically are using a loofah or a scrub, or you just kind of have to wait it out. So once it occurs, it's there. Ugh.
Oh yeah, it is there. I mean, I hated like puberty because I just had the worst acne, and like flaky skin was such a big issue because you can't escape these like, the winters are so harsh, and it's nothing you can do really, unless if you like do skincare every single day and just really fight it off every day.
I mean, I find that like so I have combination skin. So I find that even when I'm like doing everything I can and my skin is perfect during the summer doing the exact same routine, it's just the change of conditions. So you have to be prepared for it. So I pulled a really interesting hack from our ultimate makeup course we talked about earlier. Again, you can find it by visiting pageantplanet.com and going to articles. And this is what it says, and it totally blew my mind. So it was a budget friendly tip, and they say apply a light layer of EVU, which is totally a Rachel Ray thing. It's extra virgin olive oil to damp skin. So you apply a light layer of EVU to damp skin, leave it on for 4 to 6 minutes, then use a warm washcloth and in a light circular motion, you wipe it off to remove dead or peeling skin. Mild redness will briefly occur, they warn, as blood flow is being released. And Gabby, have you ever done this?
So I actually did. It's really funny because I think usually when you think of skincare, you're like, oh, I don't want to put oil on my face. But
Mm-hmm.
really, if you do want to put oil on your face, it's actually pretty good for you.
Yeah, and like I like the idea of getting creative with natural products in your household. And I think this would be like a really fun project to do at a girls' night, holiday season's coming up. So like when your gang's all together, like give it a try. But I would say with anything oil-based, again, I agree with you, Gabby. I think anything oil can be really solid for your face. But like be weary of doing anything like this or brand new within a month of your pageant as you don't know how your skin will respond. But again, if you have plenty of time before your pageant, give it a try, see how it works. That would be a really great solution for you to have. And the other like caveat I'll point out here is if you are trying to preserve a spray tan, any
Don't
kind
do
of
it.
exfoliation, whether this olive oil technique or like sugar scrubs or whatever you use will remove the top layer of skin and make your tan look splotchy. So only do this when you have a little bit of a warning time before your pageant and you're not trying to like preserve your spray tan.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I never, when I first started competing, I never got a spray tan because I was like, I'm already a dark woman. Why do I need a spray tan? And then I saw what I looked like on stage without the spray tan. And I was like, oh, wow, honey, you look a little pale under those stage lights.
Mm-hmm.
So then I got my first spray tan and I didn't understand that oil was not a spray tan's friend.
Right.
So then that's like, and then I messed it up and then I got it fixed. And then I was like, oh, okay. Like oil's what you use to remove the spray tan.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely a good tip to highlight that. And for all my women out there who are on the darker side, spray tans are still your friends no matter what.
Yes, and a friendly reminder that Ultimate Makeup course is online now. It breaks down everything from how to color correct, best makeup options for different eye colors, glitz versus natural, different kinds of complexions, and you can find it by visiting, again, our articles page on Pageant Planet, and I will include the direct link in our page notes. So those are my 6. And then Gabby, I wanted to give you a chance to give us like your makeup hack for number 7.
Yeah, so my biggest tip is to brief your makeup artist. The reason for that is because I love telling this story. So when I first started competing, I had a makeup artist, and she was very good at what she did, so much so that every time she did my makeup, she essentially gave me a nose job. So, like, my face was just a completely different shape by the time she finished with it. And while you think, wow, but that's great, right? Like, you're completely glamming it up. I don't want to be Tyra Banks and I don't want to be Beyonce. I love them. They're gorgeous, but I'm me, and I really do believe that makeup is meant to be something that highlights the beautiful features that you already have. So that is like my number one tip, especially because at Miss America, I would unfortunately see some of my sisters, they would have makeup artists do their makeup for preliminaries and then they wouldn't be happy with the results because they're like, well, they made me look like this or they made me look like that or they changed this about me. And it really broke my heart because when you're competing, especially, you're supposed to be bringing your best foot forward. You're supposed to be bringing the greatest, truest version of yourself to that stage and in front of those judges in that audience. And I think a lot of the times makeup artists, not because it's their fault. I mean, granted, this is their job, but some of them have a tendency to say, oh, well, I'm going to do this because it'll make you look better. And really, I want people who compete to get into that mindset of, I already look great, okay? Because you cannot compete in a pageant. Like, you have to be a little bit of like a humble brag. There's this thing that Oprah says that I think is so profound. She says, I need to be so full of myself that I can overflow on into others and pour into them in their cups. So I really think that rings true when it comes to even preparing yourself for pageants, whether it be mentally, physically, emotionally, whatever the case may be. You need to be so full of yourself and what is it that you want to do with the world, all the great love and compassion you have for other people and for the job of being a title holder and a servant to others. In order for you to even be able to pour out into others, which I think is something I'm even learning as Miss Massachusetts, because I do appearances like every single day. I say I'm living my Oprah moment because I recently just left my job so I could focus on being Miss Mass full time and just really focus on who is Gabby and what is it that she has to offer the world. I made it far enough at Miss America. Maybe I can make it a lot further on in life. But I was running myself into the ground trying to appeal and to do so much for everyone else. Which is, I guess, now just like a side tangent. But I learned about being full of for myself so I could pour out into other people. So that's like what my number one thing is just brief your makeup artist. Make sure that every time that you do something to your face or do something for a competition, that you're asking yourself if you're doing it for you or if you're doing it for the sake of other people. Because that's going to shine through, like first and foremost on stage.
So you are a strong woman. You've like come up through the ranks, like you know who you are. So now looking back at that makeup experience, it wasn't the best for you. But I think a lot of contestants aren't there yet and they might be trusting this professional and they look in the mirror and if they don't like what they see, what advice would you give them to like, what would you say to that makeup artist and how would you help them like figure out how to alter that look to make it feel more authentic to them?
Yeah. I mean, if you don't know how to do your makeup and you're trusting a makeup artist to be really good at their job and to, I guess, put that image that you have in your mind into fruition, I really think it's important for you to communicate that. Fortunately enough for me, I mean, I am, like you mentioned, I'm pretty strong. So when I personally don't like something, I can be diplomatic and vocalize it in saying, okay, I really like what you did here, but is there any way we can change that? Because this is what I want it to look like, but this is what it looks like. And I think we don't do that because we have a fear of like confrontation almost. So like in my company I worked for, it was a staffing agency. It's called Insight Global, and one of the 7 principles of our company is the confrontation model. So if someone says something or does something you don't like, you have the right to pull that person into a conference room or pull them to a corner and say, hey, I just want to let you know, you said this or did this, and it made me uncomfortable. This is how it made me feel. You don't have to respond. I know that you get 24 hours to think about what I just had to say, and then you could come back to me. But obviously, if you're competing, you don't have the luxury of time. You're kind of cramped on it. So my biggest advice is to tell the makeup artist, I like what you did here. I'm thinking I would like to change this, because in that one sentence, you were able to say, you're doing a great job. I love how you did my eyes. However, I don't like this foundation color. I think it's a little bit too light for me. And just being comfortable and having that kind of communication, because especially when you're a title holder, people are going to ask you to do things that you don't want to do. People are going to put you into situations you don't want to be in. And you have to be strong-willed enough to say, I'm uncomfortable. I need you to acknowledge that I'm uncomfortable, and I'm going to be very respectful in telling you why. Now, what can we do to make this a more idealistic situation for the both of us? Because if you're not at your best, if you go out on that stage, right, and your makeup looks awful and you don't win that pageant, you know what your first thought's going to be? It's because my makeup looked bad.
Yep.
So you need to know that when you hit that stage that you did absolutely everything within your power to be the best you could be. So when you leave that stage, if you don't win for whatever reason or you don't place where you wanted to place, then you can at least say, you know what, I did everything that I could do. Because I remember at Mass USA, the second year I competed, my makeup was exactly how I wanted it to be. I loved my dress. My body was the best it had ever been. I was in the best mental place I'd ever been in. I did my onstage question. I got a standing ovation during my onstage question. I was so overwhelmed and so happy just because I'd never even placed before at Mass USA. And I was second runner up. And everyone was like, "Are you upset?" And I was like, "Absolutely not. I did everything I could do." And I'm so excited for my girlfriend Julia for winning that title because it was just her night. And I was okay with that. So that's like the number one thing I think that you should do in order to be, just to have a positive pageant experience.
And I will say 9 out of 10 makeup artists would prefer that you bring your concerns directly to them. I have heard horror stories about girls leaving the makeup room, totally change, like removing their makeup and doing it again because they didn't like it. And then that looks bad on that makeup artist because when you go on stage, people think that if that makeup artist did your makeup and you come out looking different than what they did, that'll hurt could potentially hurt their reputation, and then that could hurt your relationship with them. 9 out of 10 times they would prefer that you go to them and allow them to alter it because it's their work as well. So I would just say, like, it's a win-win for both of you if you're honest. You don't want to be quiet and meek about it and go behind their backs. It's not going to be good for anyone.
Absolutely. And also for people such as myself, like I have a very difficult time finding foundation colors because I'm like a weird in between. Like I'm that person that Rihanna created 40 shades and I was none of the 40. Like I really was so sad when I went to Sephora and could not find a shade that matched me because of my undertones. So the only makeup that ever worked for me was Victoria Duke Beauty. So I literally bring her foundation every time a makeup artist even touches. I mean, now no one does my makeup. I do my makeup. Even when I go to photo shoots, to be honest, I get really scared when people try to do my makeup because I'm like, no, like I know how to do it. I've been competing long enough. But I always bring my foundation and I'm like, okay, like do whatever it is that you have to do, whatever is the look that we're going for. Here's my foundation. This is the shade that matches me perfectly. I just want to save you some time because usually makeup artists try to mix their foundations to find a perfect skin tone for you. But if you're like me and you suffer from hyperpigmentation, my forehead is a completely different color from my cheeks. So it makes their life easier too. And they'll appreciate that you are considerate enough to say, I know that you're good at your job. Let me help make your job a little bit easier. Here's some of the makeup that I've used that I found great success with.
Perfect. So in summary, we just went through 7 different makeup hacks on the go on a regular basis. You can kind of mix and match. And in summary, I just want to say that the more you practice, the more you'll encounter these problems at home versus in the moment when you're under the gun to perform at your pageant. So like, wouldn't you want to be able to solve a problem in the privacy of your own home than in the stress of a dressing room? So moral of the story is you should be practicing your hair and your makeup for your pageant on a very regular basis when you have the ability to try new things, and then you can correct as you go. So that is just the ultimate message here. And if something goes wrong in the moment, remember there's always a fix, and you just may have to get creative. And like Gabby, you had so many good nuggets today, and you were so much fun. So thanks you so much for joining us.
I appreciate it. I had so much fun, honestly. Like I've been I like love podcasts. I listen to them all the time. And I've actually listened to your podcast too. So I was like, wow, it's like my dreams are coming true.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's going to be a super fun episode for our listeners. I hope they had a good time. So if our listeners like fell in love with you just like I did and they want to follow you, where can they find you?
Yes, so I'm honestly more active, I think, on my personal account just because I get 1 year to kind of, I guess, brag, or not brag, but be excited about being Miss Massachusetts. So if they'd like to follow me, they could follow me on Instagram at Gabby, Gabby Taveras, Tav as in Victor, Eras. Also, I mean, you can definitely follow my Miss Massachusetts account as well. My personal is synced to it as well. So that's at Miss America MA for like Massachusetts. And I'm not good at Twitter, so I wouldn't send anyone to Twitter. Instagram is the best way. And if you have any questions, you need any advice, I'm probably a little bit scandalous as a title holder. And I say scandalous in the sense where I actually give out my contact information to people like a crazy person because I want people to feel like they have access to me and they can talk to me. But if you like have questions about makeup or life or anything at all, I literally get text messages, DMs, everything you can think of at all hours of the day and night. For people who just like want to talk about life. So feel free to reach out to me. I'm literally an open book. I'm thinking I might just write a book at this point because I feel like my life would be at least comedic enough for people to want to read about. So anyone can just definitely reach out and let's be friends.
Perfect. Okay, thank you so much, Gabby. And for our listeners, thank you for tuning in. And if you found any benefit in today's episode, please, please, please go ahead and leave us a 5-star review. It helps more people like you see our podcast, hear our podcast, and get involved. So 5-star review takes 2 seconds, but we appreciate it so, so much. Thanks, everyone.
Want to become a part of pageant history? Create a free contestant or business profile on pageantplanet.com to unlock hidden features and connect with other experts throughout the world.